So, hello everybody. Welcome to another Meet the Actor. I'm here with Martin W. Payne. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Peter. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. I trust you're enjoying life as it is at this precise moment in time.
Yeah, life in lockdown is wonderful, isn't it? It's that moments of going, well, what can I do? Well, actually, in the film world, nothing. So
You can do a lot of writing. That's about it. You can't really do a lot of
yeah,
other stuff.
yeah, do a lot of writing, or alternatively, not a lot of anything else.
Yeah. Yes.
But hey,
Uh,
it should be over eventually.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Imagine all the DIY in your gardens looking nicer. That's what everybody else is doing at the moment.
Oh, yeah, it's basically, yeah, we have done a bit of gardening. I live in Windsor, under the flight path into Heathrow. So at the moment, we're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning because of the dawn chorus,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so much louder than it ever used to be. It used to be waking up at sort of 5:30 with the first planes coming in. But no.
Yeah.
However, 1st of June, which has just happened, suddenly noticed an awful lot more planes coming into Heathrow. So I think lockdown might be over. But how soon things will return to what might pass for normal, who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting time for sure. So let's move away from lockdown talk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to you as an actor. So, how
Mm.
did you first get into acting?
Eons ago, basically. My parents actually saw this idea, that they thought, oh, that sounds quite interesting. Let's go to this. They said to me, we've booked for you to go as well. So the three of us. This is about getting on for 30 years ago now, 30. And they said, we booked to go on this murder weekend. We think it's really good. Apparently, you get holed up in a hotel, and these murders happen, and you have to solve it. So, okay, what about my fear of blood? I've been known to pass out at the sight of casualty.
Mm.
It's that sort of level of fear of blood. Oh, it was at that time. And they said, "Oh, you'll be fine." But I chickened out the first one. Went to the second one because they enjoyed it, and they kept booking. We went for about 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, so 25 years ago, the woman who runs them actually said to me in the bar after one of them, "So, Martin, when are you going to work for us?" At which point I said, "When you ask me." Despite being so weak and apathetic, she did actually ask me, and I did go and start working on murder weekends. For those who don't know about them, it's a sort of hotel interactive entertainment. You have 9 or so professional murder weekenders, they're called, and each of them take on a character, and you are that character for the whole of the weekend. Everything that happens is around the characters, and the guests just turn up. Someone dies in the soup on Friday evening, and the guests have to solve it. So it's brilliant doing that for improv, because you've got your character. You know who you are. You know when you were born. You know your name. Well, you do. If I'm going down at 8 o'clock on the Friday night, you sort of look down at your chest and you've got a name badge on, and it's very common. You just look down and go, "Oh yeah, my name is whatever,"
Yep.
And you go out there and you do whatever you need to do. You know all the arguments you're going to have. You know what's going to happen when, and you've just got to talk and be the character and answer questions in character. So absolutely great for improv. And that means lines. I really don't like lines, because I didn't have to learn them. And I was doing murder weekends from 1995 until 2014, at which point I decided I can do more than just improv and be a character. And back then, crowdfunding wasn't so great. Trying to make a film and get money for making a film was a lot harder for sort of independent filmmakers, I think. And so I came into screen acting because a certain guy called Tony Lane, A.D. Lane, was making a film called Invasion of the Not Quite Dead. And he was doing tweetathons, marathon sessions, just tweeting, just staying awake, just saying, give me money. And one of those was give me money and you can have an extra role on a shoot.
Yeah.
So that's how I then moved from this sort of live entertainment, hotel interactive entertainment, into screen acting, because I just said, yeah, I can do that. I'll turn up and be an extra. So I went to the location to turn up to be your standard sci-fi horror lab coat man. Put on this lab coat, be an extra. And yeah, I know it's paying for acting. At that time, it was just a case of, I want to see if I can do this, get in front of the camera. So, yeah.
So going from a transition of being this murder mystery actor to being on set, how did you find that?
It was a bit sort of thrown in the deep end. It was much the same, actually, because I turn up as agreed at this sort of farm location, middle of nowhere. First time experience, so I've got no real experience, and this is independent filmmaking, so it's very, very small in terms of actually, you know, one man in his camera type thing. I find Tony, and I say to him, I'm here. You want me for Labco Man? And the first words he said to me was, yes. I said I'd never do this again. And I immediately thought, you don't want me here. Okay, I can go. Don't worry. I mean, or I can just be quiet in the corner, you know. And the sort of short story part of this is more the fact that no, he had an actor who he had booked to turn up, and the night before he'd said to that actor, actually don't bother turning up, because the actor was sort of demanding their behind the scenes photography, use of his scenes in show reel within 3 months. And I don't know if you probably have heard of Invasion of the Not Quite Dead.
Yeah.
It's the most eagerly anticipated film of 2008, and we're still waiting. So Tony was never going to be able to give him the scenes for the show reel, so he just said, you know what, don't turn up. And so I turn up, and he says, yeah, great, can you put this lab coat on, do this scene? I wear glasses. Do you mind not wearing glasses? Yeah, I can take my glasses off and do a scene without glasses. Great. Actually, I think I'd taken contact lenses with me just in case, because he wanted me to wear a gas mask at one point. A lot easier not wearing glasses and a gas mask. And he just said, great, do you reckon you could learn these lines if you can stay a bit longer? And I'm going to give you a speaking part. The guy's called the Creepy Man. Yeah, that would be good. So I ended up staying what was supposed to be sort of 10 in the morning until 5 at night, or the afternoon, in one day. Ended up, I was there until 2 o'clock in the morning that day, and back at 10 o'clock the following morning until 1 o'clock in the morning the day after. Luckily it was a bank holiday, filming these extra roles with gas mask on, you don't recognise me, plus also this character called the Creepy Man, who might possibly be rather significant in the story. So from basically improv into, I'll just try this out, into, hey, the next day they hang a star on your door. Not quite like that, but yeah, it's so my first experience of screen acting was in at the deep end, but it's great fun, and it just meant that I didn't have to think about what I was doing. Just get on with it, do it, and try to learn these lines, which I don't know if I did or not.
Wow, I was going to say, we'll find out maybe sometime when the film comes out?
Yeah. I was may possibly. Don't hold me to this. Maybe, possibly, just about next year.
Maybe. So
Maybe.
so
Well,
so
Tony's been locked down for for 10 weeks anyway, so he hasn't had much else he can do.
so your first your what we considered your debut will not be seen until a lot later. So since then, you've had like 75 plus screen credits to your name. So
Something like that. Yes.
Something like that.
Yep.
So your debut, nobody will see until whenever. So
Absolutely. My credit on that film is supposed to be introducing Martin W. Payne. I said to him after about a year of it not coming out after I filmed it, Tony, would you mind just taking the introducing off, because I don't think it applies.
no, it's not especially not now. No. But yeah, so obviously you said how long you've been doing it. You're doing it for 25 plus years. So what have you worked on that? I guess what that you've let's change it slightly to what have you worked on that you've really, really enjoyed? It's like the big topic thing that you've really enjoyed in your things.
I think
currently working on, and obviously what you got planned to work on is the other parts of the question.
Yeah, I tend to be busy, so I think in terms of the easiest answer to that is I work a lot in the horror genre. It is, for me, just great fun because you can just totally relax about it.
Yeah.
You can be a bit ludicrous at times, and yeah, I've got a fear of blood, but actually Murder Weekends took a lot of care of that. And,
that's a good job considering how your career path went.
Well, quite absolutely. There have been times in hotels when I've had an eye removed, and so this is real life. Well, not real life, obviously.
Not the eye removal thing. No,
exactly. Yeah, not really. But it is in a hotel in front of real people who are, and particularly if you're supposed to be dead and laying there not breathing. Anyone who's had to play a dead body will know just how difficult it is, times 10, if people are actually leaning over you saying, "I can see him breathing." Well, yeah, you can.
I'm terribly sorry, I'm not proper dead. Yeah.
Yes, surprisingly, I'm still alive, and trying desperately not to kick you or something. But horror filmmaking is good fun. It's just so much of a laugh. So I've done a lot of horror stuff, and I think after Invasion, I've done quite a bit of student stuff because it's a good way of just getting in front of a camera, just practicing and doing stuff. No expectations, really. Obviously, you do your best, whatever circumstance you're in. And then I got involved in I suppose it was another Twitter-based thing. It was a Twitter cast film, and it was the first time I'd actually spent a week away with other people in a real acting environment, and the feeling of pride I had in myself at the end of that week coming away, because that was, I've already said, I don't like lines, and this was a full-on script, 90 odd pages, 5 characters, all effectively lead, and just being able to go day after day, getting through the scenes, doing the stuff, making sure your lines came across, and after the first day thinking, we have got one really good actor amongst us, Victoria Broom, and she was just head and shoulders above the rest of us. So it's lifting yourself to be able to go, I've got to match her, I've got to support her, I can't let her down. So that's, you don't get that feeling, or I have not got that feeling anywhere else in the rest of my life, that sense of pride of being able to say, I did that. and I tend to network quite well. I would always say I don't, but it is the keeping an eye on things. So from that, it was also, horror in the UK is quite a small business.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and yes, it's name dropping, but it's also, it's the fact that you see people, or you see of people, and you go, oh yeah, actually, I quite like the stuff that they're putting out, or they sound really enthusiastic and confident about what they're doing, and so I contacted Tony Newton, who has done Virus of the Dead and any number of anthology films that he's produced and pulled those together. So I did a bit of work for him, which was supposed to be for a film, and much like Invasion, there might be a recurring theme here. It hasn't really come out. It has come out in a very much, basically a 5-minute teaser trailer, and it's probably ended up on one of his anthologies, but it's still a case of working for him and then talking to him and getting an introduction from him to Sam Mason Bell Trash Arts down in Portsmouth.
Yep.
At which point I start moving into the acting that means actually I could be out there somewhere. People could actually see this. So I suppose my first feature that I just think, yeah, that's got distribution. People will have seen it. That's a good thing. I'd love it to have been an Invasion, but it's still going to introduce me at some point. The first one was Toxic Schlock, which was a script written totally with the aim of getting Troma Entertainment to like it.
Yes, it's very much a Troma-esque.
Toxic Schlock is very Troma. They loved the script. They said, yes, we'll take that film if you make it. We made it. They took the film. And that's when you start going, yeah, actually, people start to know me because of what I've actually done that's out there somewhere. So Toxic Schlock, which was a Tony Newton, Sam Mason Bell production, a film they pulled together, and then and I was obviously working with Sam, and since then I've done quite a few films with Sam. So the next one after that, Lonely Hearts, which again has got distribution. It's on Blu-ray. Then Millennial Killer, which I actually produced, Millennial Killer, and there's a story behind why I ended up producing that one. We've shot last year Monstrous, which our aim with Monstrous was to film over a weekend, Friday through to Sunday, film a whole feature. At the end of September, get it pulled together, edited, graded, sound, everything else done, and released at the end of October on Brexit Day. And Monstrous is a film that is set on the referendum day back in 2016. And it's a family, a couple of students, one enclosed space, it's just one house. And we really wanted to make that film in one weekend, get it out there, deliberately take all the advantage of the fact of this is a Brexit-related movie out on Brexit Day, and we failed in that because of an incident that happened off of the location, and one that just basically pushed us back by a month for finishing filming. So we missed Brexit Day. I think we were one of the few people who were going, please let there be an extension to Brexit, because we really wanted to tie in. It's still not out. During lockdown, it's been gone through the whole of post-production, and it probably will go off to distributors in July. So that's out there. That's in flight. But there's also been other opportunities, because through Lonely Hearts, showed at Horror on Sea Film Festival in Southend in 2019. And because that was there, I went to that film festival, and I spent 2 weekends at the film festival. It's a great festival, and filmmakers are there. You see their films, and you go and talk to them afterwards. And so, therefore, because of Horror on Sea, I've also spoken to Baz Hancher, who did White Goods, Leon's Broken Mind, and I'm in Hate Little Rabbit, which he's got 2 scenes to film. And then that's done and dusted, so he's hopeful that will be done by September. Tom Lee Rutter, who did Bella in the Witchwood, he's got a Pocketbook of Superstitions being filmed at the moment. I'm in that because I've spoken to him, and it's just a case of it's network. So there's quite a lot of stuff that is becoming ready.
Yeah.
Plus also, as I said, horror in the UK independent world is a small place. So, of course, I've worked for Myco. I just need to.
Yeah, I was going to mention them. But yeah.
So, for Myco, I'm in Mask of Fawn. I'm in Pandemonium, which is their latest release out. And I will also be in Slasher House 3. Which is was hopefully shooting around about now, but lockdown, COVID, let's not go back there. That will be shot at some point. So that's, I suppose, what's coming up next is going to include Slasher House 3, and again, COVID related. I'm sorry to keep going back to it, but I was due to be shooting a feature in Switzerland at the end of this month, June, with a Swiss filmmaker. But whilst we've got a bit of movement going on in Europe, of course, the UK is not in Europe. So trying to get out from here and do filming has suddenly gone. I've got a few projects that are now just being delayed until we're released from this.
Yes.
So
you do have quite a lot upcoming, and potentially, hopefully, somewhere along the line you can actually get them done. So 2021, 2021, there'll be probably loads of films of you coming out, and you'll go, I was in that. And that.
Yes.
And that.
I had that at Horror on Sea this year, in January 2020, when I think I was in
Ice Cream on the Beach.
I was in Ice Cream on the Beach. So I think I was in 3 features and 4 shorts. So people said, "Oh, it's him again."
Oh, he's back.
Yes.
The acting circuit in Britain must be very small to hire the one guy.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not. It's quite a few actors. Yeah. However, I even got described once as being a great romantic lead, and I'm thinking, nah.
Yeah, there you go.
That was in Lonely Hearts, apparently.
You're the next Brad Pitt, or insert whatever.
Yeah. I don't know who I'd want to be, actually. That's not a question I've ever thought about.
No.
I equally don't know who would play me in a story of my life.
Play yourself.
I would hope to, yes.
So, what advice do you have for upcoming actors, or does people just want to get in the film industry in general?
If I didn't say network, I don't think I can network, but if I didn't say network, then that would, you're missing out. For me, what has worked is just being able to go, I can do things. I did a lot of student stuff, and that's just getting in front of the camera and just being able to say, okay, can I actually remember the lines, be the character, try to be a different character in everything you do, rather than just being the same person. I hope people will look at what I do and go, yeah, Martin is different because he's not Martin, he is the character, or at least some semblance of a character. And yeah, it's just keep looking, keep pushing, and things will happen. For me, Horror on the Sea Film Festival was a great experience because it was just I can see other people's films, but I can meet filmmakers. And if I like what I see on screen and I've got the opportunity to talk to them, then all I have to do is go, "Hi, I'm Martin. I'm an actor."
You might remember me from the 16 films you just seen on the screen.
But possibly, yes, yes. Some might have more memorable moments than others, but some you may not want to have seen on screen. Yeah, and it's just keep pushing. But if you can't just wait for things to come to you, you've got to make things happen.
Yeah. Well, going back to whether you've played, you saying whether you think you've played different characters well on screen. Well, if you looked at Toxic Schlock, your character in Toxic Schlock, and then you look at your character in Trash Art Killers Volume 2, a very different.
You might have to remind me what character that was.
Aren't you a conspiracy theorist in that film?
Oh, that one. Oh, yes.
Yes, so you're very, very, very different characters.
Yeah, and my better conspiracy theorist is actually in Conspiracy X, which is another Trash Arts one, which is an anthology with a wraparound story. Mm-hmm. The conspiracy theorist that I ended up playing in Conspiracy X was just the guy basically introducing these films, mm-hmm. all about conspiracies, and we spent one evening just doing all these intersect stories, talking, well, for me, complete nonsense about conspiracies. You can tell I can talk, so therefore Sam would say, right, so the next film is about, the Yeti or whatever. Talk about the Yeti knowledgeably for 5-10 minutes to someone else as though it's a conspiracy they should believe in. Okay, I'll talk about the Yeti for 5 or 10 minutes to some. And we ended up at the end of one evening shooting what appeared on screen for about 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. So 40 minutes of on-screen footage based on one evening just sitting there talking almost total nonsense knowledgeably and filming the scene outside at the end where mm-hmm. my character meets his demise, but hey, always good to die in it.
Yeah, I've seen the film, and I did think when I was watching it, I think, is this scripted or is this very much improv, a lot of the conspiracy things? Because, of course, it comes across well, like you just said, but you kind of like, if it's just written down, you'd be thinking, what the hell am I reading?
Yeah, if it was written down, I'd never remember it. There's a moment in I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a moment in Toxic Schlock where my character, there's a review comment that says that I managed to elevate the content, the story, the lines, whatever you want to call it, the monologue, from effectively the lunacy that surrounds it. It was basically a 3/4 of a A4 page of monologue that I was supposed to memorize and say meaningfully, and I couldn't. So therefore, the shot is me. It's sat in a chair. Leaning slightly forward with my head almost in my hands looking downwards because the script is on the floor because I can't remember it, and I wear glasses or contact lenses, but I wasn't on that occasion and I couldn't actually see the script on the floor either. So I remembered part of it, so I get quite a bit of the what was actually supposed to be said, and then I just go off into improv about my childhood and the fact that my grandfather was a vicar and beat me up because I wanted to be gay and I couldn't be because that was frowned upon in the church. All of this, and it gets described as being I really elevated that material. Sorry, whoever wrote that review. But yeah, improv. I've had 20 plus years of improv on Murder Weekends. Of course, I'm going to improv well. And there's an art to that. And actually, advice to any actor: doing improv gives you a character, gives you the ability to focus on the character. Learning lines gives you the story that someone else wants to be said. Both are equally valid and equally important. I'm not saying either is wrong, but to actually be able to just say, I can stand up and talk, well, complete nonsense about conspiracy theories for 40 minutes with no research or little research, yeah, there's an advantage in that, as well as the advantage of being able to say, no, I am that hard man character. I can beat someone up or whatever.
Yeah. So did you want to name drop anybody else you worked with? Go, I've worked for such and such. So
I'd love to say Steven Spielberg at this point, but no.
Well, a couple of people you mentioned is Jason Impey. So Vipco documentaries recently released. Wade Bradford, you worked with as well.
Yeah, and because there's sort of cliques of filmmakers. So Milton Keynes, Maiko, Jason Impey, Wade Bradford, who's moved recently, but that area, Kieran Johnston, all in that area. Baz Hancher, Tom Lee Rutter in Kidderminster, and A.D. Lane in Indiewood Films, and then there's also Kent Indie Films, so also in Christmas Sleigh, and then it is almost, you come across the same people time and time again. I think for me, the ability just to say, I've worked with. I don't think there's anyone that I've actually worked with or worked for that I wouldn't want to work again. There are people on my hit list that I want to work for, and I haven't yet. But Dom Ziano Cristofaro, for example, is someone that I desperately want to work for, but the right opportunity hasn't come up yet. Dustin Ferguson in the US, we're talking, but we're locked down. Connections with Vince D'Amoto of Darkside Releasing in Canada. Obviously, the releasing agent for Millennial Killer, Lonely Hearts, Day of the Stranger from Tom Lee Rutter. And they're talking to him because he's also got a background in filmmaking and quite like his stuff. So, yeah, I think I came up with a list of about 10 people that I really wanted to work for. And some of whom I've mentioned. Charlie Steeds is another, who produces absolutely great films. I watch his films and just think, how on earth does he do that? And in fact, actually, I said to him recently at a film festival, Starburst, I don't think I'm good enough to work for him. Because I just think what he does is amazing. So yeah, there's all these names that are circling around, and yeah, they're all in horror. There may be a reason for that.
Well, you must be doing something the right way, because of course the amount of people you've worked with, and who knows what the future holds after lockdown's been lifted. You've got all those people you can reach out to hopefully do stuff with.
Yeah, and hopefully the part of the reason for the student work is, you never know, they might actually remember that old fat person who did some work for them when they were at university, and they might suddenly become the next Steven Spielberg and remember me and go, actors networking, also, maybe putting it out there in the universe, if you believe that sort of thing. And so therefore, I did an acting course a number of years back to create a showreel, which is helpful if you haven't got that much, which I didn't have at the time. And one question they asked was, what would be your number one acting role that you would absolutely desperately want? And I went back with, I'd love to be a Doctor Who monster. If you've seen Toxic Schlock, you've seen me in body paint.
Mhm.
Probably a bit more costume than that.
Yeah, I was going to say I've seen you probably too many times nude for probably
Yeah.
maybe my liking, but there we go.
Which, interestingly enough, again another name drop. Martin Unsworth, assistant editor at Starburst, at Starburst Festival. I went up to him, or went up to a group he was talking to, and at an opportune moment, just sort of said, shook his hand.
Mhm.
You could shake hands in the old days,
Yeah, I remember that. I think
Yeah,
that's when you do that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's got to be the fist bump.
Yeah.
Or the elbow bump. But I said to Martin Unsworth, "Hi, Martin." I'm because he had a name badge on, so that's who I knew he was. I'm Martin Payne. He said, "Yeah, I know. I've seen you too much." Oh, so you've seen Toxic Schlock?
Hey, at least he remembered you. That's the main
Absolutely. A wise man once said to me, "Whatever you do, be remarkable.
Mhm.
If people can remark about you, they can remember you.
Yep.
So make yourself remarkable." And I thought, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Whether I've done it or not, I don't know.
You must be doing something right. So
Let's hope so.
continue doing so. So the question that everybody looks forward to, even though when I say that, they tend to think I'm going to be saying something bad. It's not. It's promote yourself, which, as you mentioned, people don't really like to do, networking, etc. So this is the time now to promote yourself. If you've got a YouTube channel, do that. Website, whatever. If you want to promote a cucumber, do that. It's all up to you.
If only I'd have known about the cucumber, I would have.
I'm sorry, I was kind of threw you a curveball there.
Yeah. Right. Yes. So no, I don't really have a website. I'm on Facebook. Martin W. Payne. Martin W. Payne is the recurring theme because IMDb there was already a Martin Payne. It's a character played by a black guy in America, and so therefore I need to distinguish myself from that character. So hence the W. Which means that my Twitter account MW Payne, Facebook Martin W Payne, and the downside is you join Equity and they say you can't have a middle initial. So I'm in Equity, but under Martin Payne. What am I doing at the moment? I'm not in, but I need to mention it because we've got a crowdfunder going on, which I'm supporting Sam in. His next project is one very much for lockdown because they're planning to shoot with a very small number on the cast and crew using households. So they're able to do that. And there's a crowdfunder which is on Indiegogo. And the link from memory, igg.me/at/senseless-film. And I think it's just a great name for a film, Senseless, because I go on the crowdfunder and you can get a Senseless T-shirt. And who would ever want a Senseless T-shirt? So
good promoting.
I don't network though, so I can't possibly be doing that. So that's what's taking a bit of time at the moment. But other than that, as I say, I produced Millennial Killer, and that's gone out. There's a Blu-ray out about it, so that's Darkside releasing. Get your Blu-ray from Darkside. In fact, get two, because the cost of postage from Canada to the UK costs the same whether you get one film or two. So you might as well get two.
Yeah.
And you've got a choice of two. You can use Millennial Killer or Lonely Hearts, which are both good films to get because they're trash arts HB films. Or if you want something slightly more up to date, Tom Lee Rutter's Day of the Stranger. Really weird film, but it's on Darkside as well. So producing Millennial Killer, that's gone on VOD in North America. The Pirates have got it, so I've actually spent a lot of this week just going, please take down.
Yeah.
Pirates, I'd love them.
Yeah. The killers of the film industry.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually saw there'd been 18,000, I don't believe it, 18,000 downloads of Millennial Killer on one site. Whoa, 18,000 people downloading the film. I really don't believe that, but if it is true, yeah, I'd kill for 18,000
I
views.
was gonna say, if only those 18,000 people actually went out and purchased the physical copy of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So, well,
What do you think?
as you can see from behind me, I'm a physical media type person. So
Yeah. I actually prefer more electronic copies than physical because I just haven't got the space.
Oh,
I know.
you're one of those.
No. I pay for them.
Yes. I get the idea. Like you said, it's space for it, but mine's always been if it goes onto Netflix or whatever, it only stays on there for so long as people are downloading it. If the algorithm says they're not making money from it, of course, then it gets rid of, and then that person that got rid of it so they can have it on streaming now got to go out and buy the film again. So, so it's a continuous circuit. But there we go.
Absolutely.
So, you have got. Did you mention your show reel? You do have a show reel if people want to see.
There's a show reel that's on my IMDb. IMDb's Martin W. Payne. And I'm also on Star Now and on Mandy.com. Another guy I've done a load of work for, Ross K. Fode. Any actors in London who have the opportunity to work with Ross, do so, because he's a great director, a one-man band, does an awful lot of green screen work for his Sherlock Holmes related web series, or there's a fast web series that he does. He does other things as well, but he just takes time with actors and makes sure he gets what he wants and shows the actors in a good light as well. So anyone who's looking to try to get a bit of development going on, try to get in with Ross K. Fode. And that's F-O-A-D, because he's a really good guy.
So overall, your main thing of all this is network.
Did I mention that?
I think you did. You might have.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, it's perfectly. It makes sense. It makes sense advice. Because a lot of people will probably go, "Oh, there's such and such over there." I don't know, Jason MP or MJ Dixon. I'll go, "He's over there," but can I go over there and talk to them? But just do it. At the end of the day, the only thing they're going to say is yes or no.
Or no. Yeah. The story with Baz, I saw White Goods, and after that was screened, I'm about halfway through, I'm thinking, I've got to work for this guy. Because of the film, the nature of what he was doing and how it came across, and the fact that it's independent, all the rest of it. I have to work for this guy. I have to go and find out who he is. Left the screening at the end of the film, went out into the bar. Oh, that's fortuitous. And I just spoke to one of the group that I knew was associated with the film, because you can tell. They're all sort of standing vaguely together, all not quite certain that actually it's been their film on screen, but and I just said to him, "Could you just point me into the direction of Baz, please?" And he said, "Yes, guy over there." Okay, walked over to Baz and said, "Hi Baz, I'm Martin Payne. I've got one question to ask you, which occurred to me about halfway through that film." "Oh, what's that?" He said. "When am I working for you?" To which he was a bit taken aback, but then came up with, "Well, I've got a film I'm doing at the moment, and I saw you in Lonely Hearts this morning." Okay, fine. So I'm in Hate Little Rabbit, and you think you've seen enough of me?
We get to see more. We get to see more of you.
Yes, you'll regret that.
I guess we'll end that on this note.
That's probably a good point to end.
Well, thank you for your time. Let's wrap this up.
Yep, thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.